back. We thought it'd be fun to put our own family members through the training the military goes through.
I've already been through it, so I don't have to.
We've set up our own military obstacle course. Get us out of this. This is standard issue. Little nice, pretty red and green little... Yeah, that's... However, yesterday afternoon, get this, during our production meeting, a challenge arose. Rob George, our director, made a comment. Boy, did you make a mistake. He said...
You look like G.I. Joe. Look at you.
I'm ready. He said, you know what, we should give the women a head start, and that he could easily beat any woman in the room. That's what he said. Yeah. Then our talent producer, Lisa Bernstein, pipes up and says, look, I'll go one-on-one with you. No head starts. Push off. Now, to make everything more difficult, Rob and Lisa will actually wear the military equipment, helmet, and flak vest.
Where's your makeup, Lisa?
Now, to show them how it's done, Captain Lisa Kuchera will explain what's going to be run with the aid of Kuchera, excuse me, sorry. You'll be running it, and Morris will describe. Okay. Major Morris, tell us what we're going.
Okay, basically she's going over the wall first, and then she's going to go into a low cross procedure. Basically you're doing that so you don't get your butt down low.
Okay.
Okay? And then what she's going to do, she's going to test her, when she goes up to the monkey bar, she's testing her upper body strength.
Cool.
So in case we ever have to pull a fellow comrade out,
sure,
to be able to have the strength. And the final thing is we go hand-to-hand combat. She'll pick up the rifle and do the bayonet thrust into the dummy,
great,
and then come back.
All right. A battle of the sexes. Are you ready? Women, huddle up. Men.
Go, Lisa.
Any clue? I'm ready. No clue.
Here we go. Lisa. Go, Lisa.
How much will go wrong? At the benefit, we'll let Lisa go.
Go, Lisa.
Rob says you can go first.
Girls go first.
Hey!
What?
She's not a girl, she's a woman.
Women go first.
We're going to set a timer on this to see how we do. Helmet set. Lisa, how are you doing?
All right,
Going
Lisa.
down!
He's going down?
Going down!
All right.
You gotta put her hat on.
There she snaps.
Don't
All
forget
right,
to keep
get
that
to the
butt
line.
down.
Lisa, are you ready?
Take it easy.
Get set. Go, baby! Cleared under nicely. Now she has the challenge of the little upper body strength. She's clearing it. She picks up the bayonet and time. All right. What time officially? 21? 21-1? All right, Rob, get up here.
All right, I'm ready.
Your time to beat is 21 seconds. Do you think you even have a chance?
I got a little bit of a chance.
All right, now don't hold him back. Let's make this fair. You ready, Rob?
I'm ready.
Set. Hold on. No, there's another gun over there. Ready? Set. Go. Look at him go! He got dizzy coming out of it. All right. Now he's got to pick up the bayonet. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Time.
Wait a minute. Time out.
I love it.
Excuse me. He didn't go all the monkey bars. Lisa went all the monkey bars, and he didn't.
Lisa's feet never left the ground on the monkey bars.
And we also bolted down the gun to a cement piling, and he took it right out of the ground. What was the time? Time was 21 seconds to beat. 18 seconds. You're champion right here.
Yeah.
Rob George. Let's see you hug and make nice. For more information on joining the National Guard, call 1-800-GO-GUARD.
I'm going to call this afternoon. I'm going to do this. I want to do it.
Tomorrow, Christina's going to cook from inside the Army's
appointment,
kitchen.
I'm going to call.
All right. We'll take a break. Anthony, you're next. Not here. You're going to be up next. We'll take a break. Hey, welcome back.
What is the where's vor spelling?
Huh?
What did I say?
She's speaking Dutch.
What's the weather forecast? I spoke Dutch.
Our next guest speaks Dutch, not every week, but, you know, in his own time. Give him that. CBS drama The Magnificent Seven has become a huge, huge hit.
Right.
One of the stars of that. Every good Western, however, has a con man, which is why we're holding cards here. Take a look at our next guest as he portrays Ezra Standish.
Let's just try it again. Pleasure. Double or nothing. Your money. Here it is, duck, boys. put all 6 in the same hole.
Astonishing. Never done that before.
You sure sobered up quickly, mister.
Must be the desert air.
Please welcome Anthony Starr.
Congratulations on your new series.
Thank you.
Tell us about that con. What was going down there?
He basically was conning the guy by having 1 real bullet and 5 blanks.
So it appeared as if you shot through that hole 5 times.
Exactly.
So what kind of things did you have to learn to do this role?
I went to scumbag training. Weasel training. No, I had to learn a few card tricks and things like that. We all had to learn how to ride and stuff like that. But
did you ride horses before?
not much. A little bit as a kid, you know. But I'm just happy that we have horses now. Initially, the network said we couldn't afford them. Apparently, horses eat a lot, and so if you watch the pilot closely, there's a couple scenes of us actually taking turns carrying each other piggyback through the desert. And when they got a look at that, they kind of ponied up.
For the money, for the horse.
For the money.
Yeah.
Ponied up.
Too, does that mean they're going to get rid of us?
All right, so show Cristina the tricks.
Well,
Show
I have
Cristina one.
a great sleight of hand guy, and he's also an actor named Steve Valentine. Showed me a few things like cutting a deck of cards with 1 hand, and then pulling the ace of spades out like that.
That's cool.
And you can also do the same thing with the opposite hand, a different way. You do it like that. If I can get it
How do you know
around.
where the ace is?
Like that.
Wow.
Now, the way you do that is you have the deck like this, with one way of doing it, and you'd let half the deck drop, you push it with your index finger,
There you go. Aces on the bottom.
and then it falls, and then you pull it out with your middle finger. The other way of doing it is you hold the deck, and then instead of dropping it, you split it, and then you hold it again with these fingers, and then pull it out
Well, look where
with the thumb.
mine is a money sign. What is that?
So,
What? I can't do that. I
It
don't.
takes a little practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, okay. Do you know how to do
Good
that?
guy or a bad guy?
he's a little bit of both, which is kind of fun. I mean, he's basically a scoundrel who's trying to be a better person, which is sort of a fun thing to play.
Isn't that what we all are?
Yes.
I think it was the pilots you kind of rode off. You guys were
Right,
defending that little Mexican town with the
Right.
flag and everything.
And I kind of, my motivation initially for going to the Indian village was not to rescue the Native Americans living there, but to find out about this gold mine that I've heard about, and then I get the little kids to tell me where this gold mine is.
It really is really fun. It's a real fun
Yep.
ensemble.
You know, we're not the firefighters, but we're all right.
You're doing all right. We brought this little book of Dutch out because your grandfather was Dutch.
Actually, both my parents are from Holland.
Yeah?
They're from the north of Holland, province of Groningen,
Groningen.
and both my parents came to this country in 1957, and it was a strange turn of events. I was born actually on my grandfather's birthday, and I'm named after him. And my grandfather had his own paper company in Holland, but he's always acted in the theater and stuff like that. And finally, he was cast at the age of 78 years old in his first film.
No kidding.
And he, I guess, pestered them enough that they brought me over, and I played a little part in the film
With your
with my
grandfather.
Oh,
grandfather.
we happen to have a clip
Yeah,
of that,
yeah.
so let's take a look at that film.
Top, jongen. Uw verzet generaal gaan vliegen?
Mogen we eerst de koffie nog even opdrinken?
Helaas, meneer. Vandaag zijn er geen vluchten meer. Morgen weer.
Weet u dat zeker?
Jazeker. Morgen kunt u vliegen.
Now, did you speak Dutch as a child? Or did you have to learn it for that?
My parents were really sort of what you would call model immigrants. They wanted to be Americans, so they spoke English in the home, and they really didn't teach us Dutch, but they, if they were having a conversation that they didn't want us to understand, or if they were arguing, or, if they were swearing at us, it was always in Dutch, so you ended up picking up the language a bit anyway.
Can you
For
teach
us,
us
it was
some?
just spelling. Remember that yours first see it down?
Yeah.
He can't go out in P-L-A-Y.
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't know. Could you teach us some swear words in Dutch?
No. How about birthday? How about happy birthday?
Oh, it's a great language for swearing, but
I don't know.
happy birthday, and you guys can try to play along with this and learn how to do this.
Can I buy a vowel? What's up with that?
It's
Let's try to read it.
okay.
I
Candace?
can barely read English.
Really see it.
Gelukkig met un verjaardag, Cristina.
Very nice. Very
Really?
nice. It's actually gelukkig met u verjaardag, Cristina.
Well, not bad.
So if you want to try this, you know, the first thing to remember about Dutch is that it's, you know, Holland is a northern European country. It's very cold. There's a lot of phlegm problems. So you begin most words with a good throat clearing.
We'll walk us through. We'll repeat after you. Put it up again. We'll repeat after you.
Geluk gewenst.
Geluk gewenst.
Sorry.
Met u
Met u
verjaardag.
verjaardag. Cristina. Now, how would she respond to that if somebody were to say that? What does she say back?
Okay.
Put it up the next one.
Same to you.
Okay. Okay. Now this is just for you to. Hoeveel
Hoeveel
karats
karat
is dit?
is dit?
One more time. Hoeveel
Hoeveel
karats
karat
is dit?
is dit?
What does that mean?
It means
Whose craft is this?
no. How many carats is this?
How do I say this again?
We come with the funny.
Did you see that coming?
That's great. Jovial carrots is deep.
I like that. All
The
right.
Magnificent Seven can be seen on CBS Saturday nights.
All right, very good.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Oh, and I have to say that yesterday was my son's first birthday.
All right, inquire a little
Birthday to him,
Thank
too.
you. What's his name?
Garrett.
Garrett.
That was my father's name also.
Wish happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
Where's right there? We don't know where he
Happy
is.
birthday, boy.
In Dutch.
Gefeliciteerd, me on.
Oh, all right.
We'll save a piece of cake for him.
Yeah, all right.
Start tearing up.
Okay.
Take a break. We'll come back. Diane Thomas shows us how to make a pepper swag. Get him loaded.
All right, we asked the firefighters to come back into our do it room because after they cook, I know they hang around, they're bored, and now they want to know how to do crafts. So Diane Thomas is here to show them how we can make this wonderful, for the firehouse, a dried fruit and pepper swag. Dried pepper.
Isn't this beautiful?
Yes, but before we start, Diane, there's something a little special that we want to do for one of our firefighters because it is his birthday. Mario, come on up here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mario.
Too much.
Happy birthday to you.
Blow it out.
All right.
Put it next to
Very
the
nice.
flammable raffia.
It's
There you go.
flammable raffia. All right.
Cry now.
Oh, is it?
No.
Go ahead,
Only at
Woody.
the firehouse.
So
I actually want you to know he was asking me how to cook turkey in his pants so he could do it on the next spot.
Hey. All right. You know, Diane can cook a whole turkey in her pants. Did you know that?
That's right.
You really have to be a faithful.
It's really something.
You got to be a faithful viewer to fully understand
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Okay.
All right, Dan. well,
Okay, this is a beautiful swag. It's made out of red peppers, dried red peppers, and oranges and apples. And you could use any kind of dried fruit with this. And this is actually such a fun one to make. This one is a chili wreath over here. And then you can see we've taken a bulletin board and put the chilies around the bulletin board. And actually, you can see how nice it is to go into a kitchen. This is great in the kitchen, as Christina was saying.
I can
If
use
you're
it.
short on it, you
I
can
can
just have a
use
little
it.
piece of this.
Yeah, you can actually use it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can make a firehouse chili. Hey. Right, guys?
where do you find your dried peppers, Diane?
You can actually buy those in a craft store. You can check in a craft store, sometimes in like a farmer's market, where they, especially in the
bag.
Southwest, you'll see them even in grocery stores.
So how much, if you went to go buy this, how much would it cost?
This one would cost you around $50, and you
wow.
can make it for probably in the 20s,
Oh,
$20,
that's better.
$20. This one is $40, maybe $15. You can make that one.
So tell us what we need to make these swags.
Okay, what you're going to need to make it is the red peppers, and you're going to need also the dried fruit.
Can you
that
use
have
any kind of
oranges,
fruits?
apples. You sure could. Your apples here. This is armature wire. This is what they make dolls with. So when you go to a craft store, you ask them for the armature wire, and then the raffia, and a glue gun, and you're all set to make it.
All right. So we have a little tape. Let's take a look at how we put this
Fire it
together.
up. No pun intended.
Okay, first of all, we're starting to do the bottom of the swag, getting the bow on the raffia all set, trimming off the extra pieces here so it's all really going to be at the right length. Put a little bit of glue on that, and then to that we'll put an apple or a piece of your fruit. So that will glue that on the bottom. We'll put some glue on the other end of it, and then put that on the beginning of the armature wire. And then we'll thread all of the different fruits on here. as well as the red peppers, and this is so fun. Armature wire is really a soft
big
wire.
shish kebab
It's easy to
there,
run.
huh?
That's right. So kids can do this. This is such a fun one. So everybody can help in this. You can kind of design what you want depending on what you were able to buy to go on top of this, and then just thread those all on. So now, okay, once you have that all done, is you want to finish off the top of that, and we're just taking the raffia and taking a bow of raffia, and then the armature wire is really soft, so you can bend that around onto a hook and put the raffia on the top of it, and you're all set to hang that up. Isn't that
Nicely done.
gorgeous? So easy to do. So let's take another look at this just really quickly. It's just threaded that on one on top of the other all the way down. And
One of those
again,
martial arts weapons,
Isn't
isn't
that
it? One of
nice?
those, yeah.
yeah, it's super.
If you want more information on Diane's great ideas, she's got a website, www.dianethomas.com, or Diane's book. What is that? What number is that, Christina?
It is 1-800-846-6355, but again, we want to say happy birthday to Mario. Thank you for coming. The guys want to wish you happy birthday.
Thanks.
All right, there you go.
We'll take a break,
All
come
right.
back inside the celebrity birthday party with Christina. Oh, baby!
I'm sorry, Mario. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You should roll. You think they're getting married? Actually, he got off live.
I know. I love getting kissed.
Hey, in keeping with our birthday celebration today, our own Kimmy Douglas
dirty.
is here to tell us what celebrities are doing and getting for their birthday.
Absolutely. I thought we'd keep with the birthday theme and just show you what some of our favorite celebrities have also gotten for their birthdays this year.
Cool.
Well, we are certainly not promoting smoking in any way, shape, or form. However, if you are a cigar fan, or if you just want to put candles in the center of these or use them as jewelry dishes, these are called Smoke and Ash, and they're the most popular cigar ashtrays in town. They're from Scenarios in Brentwood. Arnold Schwarzenegger received one, Gary Oldman, Gregory Hines. So many of our really popular male celebrities have been really coveting these because they're vintage.
They do look vintage, huh?
Yeah, they're vintage Havana Cuban cigar boxes that are kind of put onto these beautiful glass pieces and then painted with these wonderful colors.
we could do that.
We probably could. They range in price from about $40 to around $75, and again, they're available in Scenarios in Brentwood. Now, another hot scoop that I've got for you, and I certainly couldn't.
Project.
And I couldn't bring this to you though, you know, because it's too big. But Lisa Marie Presley turned 30 years old on February 1st. Now, at that point, she inherited the remaining bulk of her father's enormous fortune.
How much?
A very, very large
Large
amount. Yes. And
Why do you look pained when you say
yeah,
that?
it's just so big. Really? Anyway, and anyway, guess what she did? Because she could do almost anything that she would want to. You know.
Bought a G4?
She didn't. Listen to what she did. She rented out Magic Mountain, which is an amusement park here in Los Angeles. She rented Della Reese's church choir, and she had a large group of friends. Her mother ended up footing the bill, and it was $80,000.
Wonderful.
Wow.
It's kind of a wild
Just
thing
opened
to
up
do.
the park for herself.
They rented the entire park for the weekend.
Not unlike what Elvis used to
I went
do.
to Magic
Yeah.
Mountain by
Or
myself
Michael
and ate
Jackson.
Reese's Pieces.
There, you know, I don't think that's wrong. I really do not.
Different money.
Now, you know, champagne is always another good gift for birthdays, and Jane Seymour did something that's rather birthday related. Corbel Champagne asked Jane to be commissioned her actually, to be one of their celebrity artists.
Right.
Right,
Yes.
and she designed this bottle. It's a hibiscus with teal and magenta. There's Jane's picture right there. It costs $12.99. It's available nationwide, and Jane is among Tony Bennett and Frank Sinatra, who were two of the other celebrities who also painted bottles, and I think you should be next. You paint beautiful
And signed.
china and everything, so I just,
Very
and
nice.
it's signed and it's a collector's item.
Very nice.
Now finally, one of my favorites are purses. You never can have enough handbags, and Tyra Banks and Gina Lee Nolan happened to get these two bags for their birthdays. Now Tyra is holding the baby leopard, and I want to make sure and tell you it is faux baby leopard. It is not real. Here is the bag. We can turn it right to you. Really great from El Portal. And then the one that Gina Lee Nolan, thank you, Vanna. And then the one that Gina Lee Nolan got is this patchwork, and that's also from El Portal. And they range in price from around $200 to $400. And we have a 1-800 number that's right on the screen. That if
I
you're
ran into her, and
interested.
she was carrying that.
Wasn't she? She wears it all the time.
She hit you with it?
Gina, did she hit me with it?
When you ran into her.
No, it wasn't at that speed, no.
Well, lastly, you actually had jumped the gun because you had given Christina this earlier, and this is some of the fabulous wrapping paper that is now available. It is just beautiful. It's from Noteworthy in the Beverly Center, and this particular one, feel this, Christina, it's rice paper.
I love it.
And
So
it's
beautiful.
just like, it's like angel hair.
I know.
And it's in this soft green, my favorite, again, leopard.
$4.95 a sheet, isn't that nice?
Yeah, it is $4.95 a sheet
Is it
at
going
Noteworthy.
back?
Yes,
You
it
know
is.
what? That
Going
is
right
not
now.
any more expensive than if you bought it in an art supply store.
You know, it really isn't, and it's
No, that's great.
just beautiful, and it comes in so many different types. And Shaquille O'Neal happens to go to Noteworthy and buy pretty, beautiful, feminine wrapping
fun
paper.
little store.
Yeah.
Oh, I love rice paper.
What does
I love-
Shaq do with it?
He gives it to all his lady friends. We understand he has quite a few, so good for him. Anyway, happy birthday, my darling.
Thank you. Thank you for the rice paper. I love
You're
it.
very welcome.
Thank
Take
you.
a break. We'll come back. Dr. Dean Ornish talks about healing with intimacy. Take a break. Be right back. Welcome back. Hey, until about 10 years ago, the most common way to treat heart disease was drugs or surgery. But in 1990, Dr. Dean Ornish turned the medical world upside down when he proved that a change in diet and lifestyle, not medicines, could reverse even a severe coronary heart disease. Our own EP, Woody Frazier, has been on the Dean Ornish program with great results. Look at him.
Welcome.
Yeah. New book is called Love and Survival, the scientific basis for the healing of power intimacy. Welcome, Dr. Dean Ornish.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
First of all, thank you for making our Woody better.
Well, and happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. So how did, Woody, let me ask you, how did you find out about Dr. Ornish?
Well, Dean was just completing his studies, the study group, and I had a heart attack and a triple bypass.
The first time or the second time?
The first time.
Okay, that was
1989.
It was 9 years ago.
Yeah,
Then. Okay.
and so I met Dean, and he analyzed the way I was living, which was pretty bad. I think I weighed 238 pounds. I was doing 4 shows at the time. I was getting like 4 hours of sleep.
Bad diet as well?
Oh, the worst, 6 cheeseburgers, that's for me. And Dean convinced me that it was wrong, and as far as I'm concerned, that's why I'm here today. Dean literally saved my life. And so that's what we should talk about here today.
So what's the diet that you recommended for Woody and for heart patients?
Yeah.
Well, it's a diet much lower in fat and cholesterol than most people have been recommended to eat. And, we tend to think of advances in medicine as a new drug or a new laser, a new surgical technique, something really high-tech and expensive. And we sometimes have a hard time believing that simple things like diet and lifestyle can make such a powerful difference, but they really do.
They do. Is Woody off of meat, or do you suggest no meat? He's a vegetarian now. Is that what you're saying?
I think that's the optimal diet for most people. And, there's been so much controversy, especially in the news lately, about first they say this is good for you, and then they say maybe it's not so good for you. Margarine's better than butter, but maybe margarine's not so good because of the trans fatty acids. People get exasperated. They throw up their hands. They say these doctors, they can't make up their minds. To hell with them. Just bring out the bacon and eggs and don't worry about it. But in fact, when you really look at all the scientific evidence together, there are many, many more reasons, just more and more evidence to support why a low-fat, plant-based diet is the optimal diet for most
Does it
people.
necessarily mean, being a vegetarian? Or can you have a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet and still eat
Fish.
the way you want? Fish?
It depends what you're trying to do. If you're trying to reverse heart disease, I think you need to be a vegetarian, or you need to go on drugs. The moderate changes that most doctors have been recommending, less red meat and more fish and chicken and so on, most people don't realize this, but virtually every study has shown the majority of people who only make those moderate changes get worse. They get worse more slowly, but they still get worse. But the good news is that if people are willing to make much bigger changes, rather than getting worse and worse, our studies show that people often get better and better.
It actually, go ahead.
No, I wanted to mention, because I don't know if you know this, Woody said something today about the omega fatty acids, and that's even for women who go through perimenopausal symptoms, those things are very important to have, and I don't know how else to get it other through flaxseed oil, and salmon, which I do eat.
Right.
Could Woody have salmon?
Well, the problem is that the fish that are the highest in the omega-3s, like salmon, are also the highest in fat and cholesterol.
But is it a bad fat? Is that the bad fat? Or
it's both.
It
and
is?
so what I recommend is for people who have heart disease to take some flaxseed oil or flaxseed oil capsules. You don't need very much. Just 2 to 3 grams a day is plenty, and more doesn't really do any better. Now, if you don't have heart disease, if you're just trying to prevent it, then having fish is no big deal. But if you're trying to reverse it, it requires more.
And by reversing, do you mean actually opening up the walls of your artery?
Yes.
The way they were, or at least
Well, instead of getting more and more clogged, they get less and less clogged. They get more and more open over time. The blood flow to the heart improves. We found that the chest pain went away in 91% of the cases. So people who literally couldn't walk across the street without getting severe chest pain, within weeks...
Diet and exercise?
Exercise. How important is exercise?
Exercise is important too, but...
How much? How often?
What the good news is many people think if you don't run a marathon or 5 miles 3 times a week, you might as well just roll over in bed. The latest studies are showing that just walking 20 or 30 minutes a day can cut premature death in half. More is better, but even a little can go a long way.
How hard is this diet to follow for you, Woody?
Well, now it's not. But as Dean said, sometimes it's harder to make little changes. Once you make the big change, I'm on it now, and I'll be on it the rest of my life. I know that.
Well, you tried it the first time, too, but then slowly you came off of it. You went back to your old way of eating.
Well, my problem is if I get busy, I get tired. I got 1 million children. We got new kids, old kids. And so I went off it. It is hard. I'm not denying that. Right, Dean?
Well, it's true, but I think you've raised an important point, which is that it's not just diet and exercise. We need to deal with the stress factors as well. Many people are more likely to drink too much or work too hard or overeat or
prone to stress.
Yeah, or smoke when they're under a lot of stress. And so we not only focus on diet and exercise, we teach ways of managing stress.
Stress management is so important. That
Exactly.
big How important is it to take an aspirin every day?
I think
baby aspirin?
If you have heart disease, I think it's a good idea.
And if you don't, if we all take a baby aspirin a day, is that going to help us any?
Well, see, the root of all of my work is, and any time I give a lecture, I show a picture of doctors mopping up a floor around a sink that's overflowing and no one's turning off the faucet. It's to deal with the cause of the problem. They say, what causes heart attacks? Heart attacks are not just caused by the blockages in the arteries, but usually a blood clot forms and lodges in an artery that's already partly clogged. So you say, well, how can we prevent that? Well, an aspirin keeps the blood from clotting where you don't want it to, but it also keeps it from clotting where you do want it to. So you lower heart attack rates, but you raise bleeding complications. The more interesting question to me is, why is the blood clotting where it's not supposed to? It turns out that a high-fat diet makes your blood clot faster, so does smoking, so does emotional stress. So if you can change those factors, then you may not need necessarily to take the aspirin.
Wine.
Well, here again, alcohol, in fact, there was a study that just came out yesterday in the Journal of the AMA. For every drink that a woman takes, her risk of breast cancer goes up by 9 or 10%. So you lower heart attack rates, but you increase cancer. Estrogen lowers heart attack rates, increases cancer. You have these Faustian bargains.
That's all types of alcohol?
All types of alcohol.
Wine, yeah.
So to me, if you have a drink once, every so often, it's no big deal. I wouldn't tell people to start drinking. And I personally think that the reason why studies that show people who have 1 or 2 drinks a day have less heart disease is not so much because of the alcohol, but the social support. Where else in our culture do people get together, get a little high, let their emotional defenses down, talk about what they're really feeling? We call that happy hour.
Let's take a break and have a little happy moment here. We'll pay for our show. Take a break. More with Dr. Dean Ornish right after this.
What do you want to ask?
This segment of Home and Family is sponsored by Maalox. For heartburn, count on 1 minute Maalox.
Welcome back. We'll talk about the premise of your new book, that love impacts health more than drugs, diet, even genetics. So is there any scientific proof that love heals?
There is, actually. In the book, I review hundreds of studies that show that, I really don't know, as you said, I don't know anything in medicine that has a greater impact on our health and our well-being and even our survival. Not drugs, not diet, not genetics, not anything, as the healing power of love and intimacy. And yet it's something that we don't learn much about in medical school. And it's so easy to make fun of it, as being so touchy-feely or California. But I think we are touchy-feely creatures, and we ignore that at our own peril.
So what are you saying? When you're sick, you should hug a person, or what's the theory or the philosophy behind it?
Well, the idea is that the real epidemic in our culture isn't just physical heart disease. It's what I call emotional and spiritual heart disease. And by that I mean the sense of loneliness, isolation, alienation, and depression that are rampant in our culture, in part because of the breakdown of the sense of community and neighborhood and church and synagogue, the places that used to give people a sense of connection and community. And study after study have shown that people who feel lonely and depressed and unhappy have 3 to 5, in some studies 10 times the rate of premature death and disease, not just from heart disease, but across the board from all causes when compared to those who have a sense of love and intimacy and connection and community.
Isn't that why they sometimes ask people to get a pet? Even to, just to have a pet if they're growing older and they don't have their spouse, that intimacy and that love connection that they have can increase their lifespan.
Well, that's true. There was one study, for example, of 2 antiarrhythmic drugs to make the heart beat more regularly. What they found is that the drugs actually made people die faster, so they took them off the market. But they looked at the data in a more careful way, and they found that those who had dogs had a 4-fold decrease in risk of premature death from irregular heartbeats. Now, if they found that drugs did that, every doctor in the country would be prescribing it.
Right.
But when was the last time that your doctor prescribed a dog for you?
Support groups for heart disease, you say, had a benefit. Do you have a support group?
Well, we're forming one now. Since I was up at Dean's before, we're forming one.
Well, what do they do? What are the support groups?
Well, it's the same thing you do. What you do is you get together. We're all people who have heart disease. And what we do is we help each other stay. I do yoga. You know, it's hard. The hardest thing for me to do is walk, to exercise for some reason. Don't ask me why. But it just helps you. I don't like it.
I'm sorry, I had to.
I don't like it. I don't know why.
But see, the support groups are important, and they're a way of trying to recreate that sense of intimacy that we used to have in our families and extended families and neighborhoods. The point of the support group is to create a safe environment where people feel safe enough to let down their emotional defenses and say, this is who I really am and this is what I'm really feeling. Now, to give you an example of the power of support groups, Dr. David Spiegel at Stanford did a study with women who had metastatic breast cancer, and he randomly divided them into 2 groups. Both groups got the same conventional treatments, but one group of women met together for 90 minutes once a week for a year in a safe environment where they were encouraged to talk about what they were feeling. Yeah. Now, he actually did this study to disprove the idea that this would have any effect on their survival. They did it for 1 year. 5 years later, he told me, he said, you know, I almost fell off my chair. Those women lived twice as long. And the women who didn't have the support group were all dead by then. The only women who were still alive had the support group. In another study here in Los Angeles at UCLA, they worked with men and women with malignant melanoma, skin cancer that can be fatal, and they did it for just 6 weeks. 5 years later, those people lived longer and had fewer recurrences. Now, it's almost mind-boggling to think that talking about your feelings in a group for 6 weeks, 5 years later, could make you live longer. And I think the reason is that most of us don't really have a place where we're encouraged to talk about our feelings. We're not encouraged to really open our hearts and make ourselves vulnerable to other people.
You can if you have your own talk show. I do that every day. I know.
But you were public, too, about your own struggles with your depression. You went through a divorce and such, and went through support as well?
I have learned these things as a scientist, and I've learned them in my own personal life, what a powerful difference that they can make. Yeah. And I wrote about these issues. The book is both a review of the science, but also sharing with people my own personal experiences, because I wanted to be an example of what I'm trying to teach other people to do.
How important is spirituality?
Well, the idea is that intimacy can come in different forms. We often think of intimacy as sexual intimacy or intimacy in a relationship, and certainly that's part of it. But intimacy can be with a dog, as you were saying. It can be with your family members. But it can also be with something spiritual. And by spiritual, I mean whatever it is that connects us all. On one level, you know, you're you and I'm me, and we can enjoy the separateness and the differences. On another level, we're part of something that connects us all, whatever religious or secular context you put that in. Yeah. And when you have that direct experience, that sense of interconnectedness, that's also healing. You know, even the word healing comes from the root to make whole. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily how many people you're with, but you can be walking down the street in New York surrounded by thousands of people and feel terribly lonely, or you can be by yourself and communing with God or nature or whatever spiritual form that presents for you and be very healed.
Connected.
Okay, I don't mean to make light of this, but can I have olive oil? Can you eat olive oil?
I'm not the food police.
No, it's like, you don't eat any oil, right? I mean, how do you go through life without,
This is part of your plan, too, is it not?
But I want to know about olive oil. If you have to have oil, what kind of oil can you have?
It's your birthday. Have a little olive oil.
I know, I want to know, because Woody's not on oil. I'm so confused about this.
First of all, I'm not here to tell you or anyone what to do or what not to do.
But you're the doctor.
But I can tell you what the effects are. And the idea that olive oil is good for you is a myth.
It is?
It's better for you than, you know, the studies show that if you're eating if you're eating olive oil instead of Crisco or butter or lard, substituting it in equal amounts, that's a better choice. Even better is to avoid oil as much as you can. From a weight loss standpoint, oil is 100% fat. Okay, you put 1 tablespoon of olive oil, or for that matter, any kind of oil, has 14 grams of fat. 1 scoop of Haagen-Dazs or Ben & Jerry's has about 16 or 17 grams of fat.
Oh, I want the ice
You
cream.
put a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in your pasta thinking, oh boy, this is going to be so good for me. It's, from a weight standpoint, it's like eating 2 scoops of ice cream
Even
on your
that
pasta.
small little tablespoon, it doesn't burn away. It still gets
It's
adjusted.
the same amount of fat. If people did nothing more than eliminate oil from their diet, they would lose weight and their cholesterol would come down. If I'm going to eat that much fat, I'd rather...
I eat a lot, and I've gone now from, I was 209 when I went in the hospital, and I just broke 190 today.
What's your lesson here? Cook your spaghetti and Haagen-Dazs. That's your lesson. The book is called Love and Survival, the scientific basis for the healing power of intimacy. Hang out here.
Yeah, I want to see the foods. What is this?
I do
Well,
too.
this is, you know, so often people say, am I going to live longer? Is it just going to seem longer if I eat this way? And how do I do it? So
Where
I've
do we
been
get
working.
it?
You can get these in any health food store now. They're called Advantage 10. I wanted, you know, having seen what a powerful difference I can make, I wanted to make it easy for people to eat this
Let me
way.
show you the stress factor with Marty. He's been trying to get us a commercial for about a minute and a half. That's not good for you.
Look at him, look
We'll
at
take
him.
a break.
Yeah.
Military women and what they do. We'll take a break. Be right back.
I'm going to see that pizza.
Welcome back. We want to find out a few more things about here, women soldiers, and that we have you all together
The
here.
what?
I wasn't even a sense. Was that close to sense? Raise your hand if I made sense.
I didn't understand
Find out
what you
some
said.
more stories, more things that the women do.
Yes, more
Soldiers.
very interesting women soldier stories, and we have Major Morris here, and you command a company of men and women.
Yes, ma'am. I had the largest command, a signal company of the United States Army stationed in Korea.
Wow. How many?
I had over 250 soldiers.
Wow.
So, like, what is that like? I mean, how do you organize
Some
everything?
parenting techniques from you.
Yeah, well,
Well, you know, as long as you use your common sense and you know your profession and you treat people fairly, there's not, you know.
No one ever questions your authority?
yeah.
No one ever questioned my authority.
Oh, hey, all right. Yeah.
May I come back? Red Rover, Red Rover. Yeah,
What
yeah.
happens when somebody comes in your face? What do you do?
You put them down. You shut them down.
Stand
Really?
down.
Well, I mean, when you wear the rank,
Yeah.
they usually don't question you. And then we have the authority, you know, to take away their pay, to take away, you know. I mean, so.
Ooh, this is not good.
Yeah.
All right.
So they don't mess with us.
All right.
Sergeant Nelson, you were in Desert Storm. To me, explain for us that only see it vis-a-vis CNN. What went down there? What was
it
your
like?
role? Yeah.
I was an enemy prisoner of war MP company. So we had 8 MP companies, and we either took convoys of prisoners back from Iraq, and we processed them through. Nobody came back from the front without going through our prisoner of war camp. We had to talk to them. We had to make sure they had medical attention. We had to guard them.
What were they like? Were they frightened or were they, like, in your face?
We had 2 different kinds. I had the Republican guards who, one, don't deal well with females at all. They didn't want to talk to us. They didn't want to deal with us. They're a different breed. I had one guy that walked 3 miles on a broken kneecap. He'd been shot through the knee. The majority of the prisoners that we got back were, they wanted to be rescued. They wanted to be fed. They wanted to have, you know, some place to sleep, and they wanted to know that they were at least getting a meal a day. Those were the easier ones to deal with.
A lot of shell shock, too.
Really?
I'm bad.
I mean, you know, you can boil it down to the fact that there's got to be a human level of compassion, right? Can you ever separate, you know, the cause from the individual? Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense, but when they're shooting at you, you don't, you know, care about the individual. You care about your own life and your soldiers' lives.
Right.
When you're there, because you are men and women in combat together, do they have let me ask you, Sergeant, when? Do you have special accommodations for women, or are you guys all together? How does that work?
For the most part, the military provided very well for the females. The women, they provided separate facilities for showering, for the most part for sleeping and restroom facilities. But there were times when we had to share the same tents as the men in our units, but we just made sure we took care of our personal business in the restrooms and we came back.
I think it would be great for morale, though, to have the mix, yes?
No
or
problem
not?
at all.
We mixed. By the time I got through, I had 8 males in my tent, and I was the only female. We hated to sight a female and male in 3 months. You didn't want to see a guy. They didn't want to see a female. It didn't matter who it was. You know, and it's just living together for that long of a time. You tend to get
Little
personal
testing.
batty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
With anybody, though.
With anybody. It doesn't matter who it is, if it's male or female. You're used to your own space.
Sure.
You're used to your own family.
Well, the National Guard is in Bosnia right now. Is there anything that, California National Guard, I understand, is there anything that we can do to send anything over to them? What can we do?
Care packages. I mean, when we were all in this, over in the desert, any kind of cookies, anything, that would survive the military, we loved it because then we knew the American people appreciated our efforts.
Cookies, what else other than food?
Well,
Regular soda.
wet ones for taking baths and showers,
Personal hygiene.
papers,
Personal hygiene. We have the number
paper
up. Yeah.
books.
Books? Paper books?
What else?
If you want to send the care package, it's Battery F 144 FA, Tuza, Maine, OJG APOAE 09789. And we also are high tech now. We have an email address.
Okay.
It's called redleg143@AOL.com.
We'll keep this number up, too,
Right.
so we can keep reminding you.
Write it all down. Okay, we have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Very nice. I'll be over here.
No, exactly.
Well, first of all, a big happy birthday one more
Yay.
time
Okay, thank
for
you.
Cristina Ferrari.
You're very
Happy birthday. Kimberly Lee.
Liz from Dick Trigger's daughter.
Family Channel.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Anthony Stark, Magnificent 7. You are magnificent. Thank you for coming, CBS.
Saturday night, CBS.
Dr. Dean Ornish, thank you so much. Captain, Major, Sergeant, Captain Lisa Michelle. Lisa, thank you so much for
Thanks
being
for being
here
a part of the show.
And Gross, love you, family members.
Bye-bye. Living flower bouquets seen on Home and Family are supplied by 888 Live Flowers. Unlike regular cut flowers, they stay beautiful for months because they're real live flowers. 888 Live Flowers.
Production facilities provided by Universal Studios Hollywood.